Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome back. It's another Red Pill Religion podcast, Red Pill Religion, where we say red religious people are normal and a permanent part of your society. Furthermore, politics and religion always go together and cannot be separated each other. So please support our work on redpillreligion.com. Find us on Gab AI at Red Pill Religion. Find us on Maker Support at Red Pill Religion. Go to redpillreligion.com for articles and our donation buttons through Patreon, Bitcoin, PayPal, or Maker Support. So give us a like, give us a subscribe. Please tell your friends or enemies. Tonight we're just going to have a chill stream. We don't have a fully fixed schedule, topic. To be honest, I'm under the weather, not feeling that great, and so we're just going to have a chill stream and talk about stuff. We got a lot of people who want to talk about stuff, including, let's see, for starters, we have Arthur, who is also Comrade Dimitri. No, who do you
Huh?
go by?
You mean Robert?
Okay,
You mean Robert? I'm Robert.
Robert goes by Comrade Dimitri, and then we have Arthur, who goes by what again?
I am Juan on Facebook or
Juan.
Archicaster1 on Discord.
Right, and we got okay, and
Have you realized that we already have 2 dislikes?
we already have 2 dislikes. We always love when the
Emperor,
dislikes.
atheist, and godless engineer.
Yeah, could be. Derek has joined us. Say hi to everybody, Derek.
I'm back. Hey, y'all.
And we also have White Engine, who's often here. Say hi, White Engine. Okay, hello.
Hello.
Oh, and Mr. Brass has joined us too. So we have quite a crew here. That's all fine. Again, we're just having a chill stream. We have no fixed topic. Although I understand Emperor Atheist has made a response video to us. Is that true?
Yep.
Totally true.
All
But
right.
so full of sophisms that I think I wasted like 20 minutes of my life.
I will slice and dice you guys anytime. Bring more.
All right. See, now, the only thing that goes back and forth with me on this is I never know how much these guys, I'm hearing a lot of noise from someone, and I mean a whole lot. Everybody start muting yourselves when you're not talking, if you could, please. Okay. I'm just going to say, sometimes I have gotten genuinely angry, but less often than people think. Most of the time I'm being bombastic and arguing like that because I want to be bombastic and argue like that. And that seems to be what these guys like, right? I mean, I don't think I take the posturing too seriously from these guys, right? Like, if he thinks he sliced and diced me, okay, I'm gonna just say I sliced and diced him back. How serious do you think these guys are when they use that kind of rhetoric? I mean, because I sense with a lot of them, it's just this is fun. We're arguing this way.
Well, he comes off as pretty serious. He's really convinced that he's a genius.
Well, that's. I still want to know exactly where he got that theology degree from, and I want to know exactly how fluent he's.
I know where. He got it from Reddit Atheism, where everyone is a genius who has a PhD in philosophy, astrophysics, theology, and whatever. And everyone was a minister for, 20 years.
He got his degree from the same place Ken Hovind got his.
Oh my
You mean
Lord.
a mill diploma mill or something like that?
That sounds reasonable.
It was like one of those scholarship they're one of those diploma mills. That's where he got it from.
Do it yourself scholarship.
Yeah, like Bible University.
There's a lot of crackpot Bible universities, and there appear to be crackpot atheist universities too. I keep meeting guys who say they have or are working on a philosophy of religion PhD, and I'm like, but then they talk and they sound like complete loons, and I gotta wonder.
Richard Carrier has his own so-called history courses he teaches. God.
I heard he was a high school teacher.
Richard Carrier is an interesting case.
He's kind of fading away there.
Richard Carrier is an interesting case because he does have a history PhD, but his PhD is not specialized on the area that would make him qualified to talk about the stuff he talks about. I'd be shocked if he could get a job teaching at a regular university with some of the stuff he says.
I heard he once had a chance at a decent for a decent academic position, but he rejected it for blogging and stuff, and polyamory and
Well, degeneracy.
yeah.
So that's okay. We'll get back to Emperor Atheist at some point. I'm just not worried about it. Who has something else they'd like to talk about? Because I just am not feeling good or focused tonight. Anybody else want to take the lead to talk about something?
We have several articles from several sophists to read.
Well, let's see. Somebody did suggest some articles. A few people did suggest articles in the Discord chat room. By the way, the Discord chat room is open anytime anybody wants to join it. We have the Godless Wolf talking about the Aaron Ra Dream Team special.
Don't you love how creative these guys are with their usernames? Godless, this or that, or
godless, skeptic, or rationality, reason.
So creative.
Listening to atheists, makes me, not believe in free will because I can predict everything they said better than any MRI can.
If you're an anti-theist, no matter what race or nationality you are, you end up sounding the same.
Yeah, since I speak Spanish, I'm also familiar with Hispanic anti-theists, and oh my god, they are horrible. And since I also know a little bit of Portuguese, I can understand it but not speak it. I'm also familiar with Brazilian, especially anti-theists who are crazy.
There was a time when Mexico was ruled by an anti-religious militant atheist government under the leadership of Plutarco Elias Calles, and his policies caused the Cristero War. And Mexican atheists were pretty brutal too.
Yeah, not only Mexican, but from all Latin America and Spain. And I remember dealing with an atheist from Spain who had a series titled 50 Proofs that God does not exist. And it was all just a copy-paste from the God is Imaginary website, but in Spanish. And he got refuted so many times that he stopped the series at proof between inverted commas, number 8. And he then said, sorry, please. And now he got into trouble because of he had some trouble with other users from Spain, and you know how it all ends.
Yeah, there isn't this whole atheist domination of the internet in Latin America, is there?
Yeah, not really, but some of them are really crazy. And I've always, have you ever watched the video where Cult of Dusty says that atheists own the internet?
Yeah, I've seen that video.
Oh, really?
I'm so hard with it.
I've seen it.
Wait, what was
what's
it?
funny about, here's what I say about that. Of course atheists are going to win the internet. They have no life outside the internet.
True.
It's like if I gave every homeless person a laptop and internet connection, we're going to probably see downvotes on rich people videos.
Yeah.
And a bunch of discussion because it's not like they have a job or something that they have, or unlike religious people where they actually have communities or something to go to outside the internet.
You all have the atheist community of Austin, where Dillahunty and Company have their their show, and
the fact of the matter is that at one time these guys tended to have the run of the internet, and anybody could challenge them. But it does seem to be passing into, it's not as much like that, anymore. So Nah, I don't have anything to talk about. Somebody else bring something up.
Yeah, we have the articles I left there on the Discord server, and
Well, we do have the articles you left. So which of these should we look at? So I got something here from, let's say, for example, GodIsImaginary.com. It's easier to prove to yourself that God is imaginary. The evidence is all around you. Here are 50 simple proofs. I mean, I don't know if I'm ready to take this on, but like, for example, he says statistically analyzed prayer. We in fact do have studies that suggest that prayer does work, but that's okay.
That depends how you define prayer. Is it like a praying and getting what you want when you want it?
Yeah.
most of this prayer doesn't work comes from saying God doesn't give me the PlayStation 4 I want, therefore He doesn't exist. Or God didn't heal my 100-year-old grandfather, therefore the universe came from nothing.
There's three-way prayers are answered. There's a yes, no, and wait.
Yeah, and then plus we do have studies. Here's the thing. These guys, I usually don't bother just pulling out an armful of references unless somebody really seriously wants to discuss them, because it's a lot of work. And when you talk with somebody who says they want studies but then won't look at them and finds ways to immediately dismiss them, it's unbelievably stupid. And so, no, we do have studies showing positive effects from prayers in multiple angles. At minimum, it's at least as beneficial to you as meditation is. And, there's plenty of information to suggest that it's better for you than simple guided meditation, guided or unguided. I mean, and that's just one answer. These guys, it's like they think that if you, I don't know, it goes back to the bottom line is they like to claim that if they're unconvinced of a proposition, the proposition is false. And
argument from ignorance too.
Yeah, like we have to prove it to you, and if you haven't proved it to us, then you're full of it. It's like, well, no, we've got to look at the evidence and come to our own conclusions. That's what I'd say there. Taking about, like, here I see he's taken on near-death experiences. One of the things that's been shown more than once is that those who dismiss near-death experiences clearly have not looked at the peer-reviewed data. And so they're just making their answers up quite off the time.
Check out proof number 3 there on the God is Imaginary website and have a good laugh. Like, really.
Look at historical gods.
Yes.
Well, see, that's what also always seems so backwards to me. We get hit with this comparison like, oh, well, there's all these other religions. They can't be true either, too. But, I mean, that's like backwards. That's like what you're saying is all religions are equally false. I alone know reality, and I know all religions are equally false.
Yeah, but read a little bit more on that on proof between inverted commas number 3, and I swear that you will laugh. Like, really.
I always laugh at them because they'll go that whole route where they'll say, "Oh, you're so arrogant because you chose one religion out of the thousands of possible religions." Well, I say, "Well, you're a Democrat or Republican, right?" I said, "Well, why did you become a Democrat or Republican, not the other hundreds or thousands of different parties that are out there for you?"
There are lots of different parties, aren't there? Yeah.
Yeah, so if religious people are arrogant for choosing one particular system, then so is anyone else that chooses from a multiple set.
Well, and they chose atheism. It's another choice. They are convinced that all the others are wrong, and they complain about religious people thinking that all other positions are wrong. I'm like, really?
Look, if you look at the
what's funny? Oh, what's funny is that I'm looking at an article here from the Federalist, and speaking of myths and mythology, and the article's titled "Study: Atheists Find Meaning in Life by Inventing Fairy Tales." We go over that article too. That sounds fun.
Well, here's the thing: humans do tend to work by narratives and stories. That much is true. So, do you have the link to that article? You gonna send it to me on Discord or what?
Yeah, sure. I'll send it
here, or ping it to me here in the chat. See, I look at this. I'm looking at this article on God is imaginary. Proof number 3. Look at who's historical gods. The belief in, quote, God, unquote, seems to be ubiquitous through the ages. Yeah, I mean, just there, that opening sentence. That's because it's a universal idea found in most cultures, regardless of their religion. So, you know, I mean, and so, you know, you see this constructed narrative who says, we know, for example, that the ancient Egyptians believed in their gods so fervently that they built massive structures like the Great Pyramid. Despite that fervor, however, we as a society have decided with complete certainty today that the Egyptian gods were imaginary. See, well, yeah, moderns do. I don't. I can think of a lot of ways to look at the great Egyptian gods.
I think that Egyptian gods were just an anthropomorphized, depending on the god, of course, version of the forces of nature. I mean, you have Ra, who is the sun god, and you have Horus, the sky, the god of the sky. You have Osiris, the god of the underworld, and Anubis, the god of death, and you know, they're all anthropomorphized versions of the forces of nature and life, like, you know.
Yeah, well, that's what is most. That is a common form of religion. Okay, it is common, but see, even that, what I find these guys is they will overly primitivize these ancients. I think more of the ancient Egyptian religion than I do of a sort of a snotty. Well, it's all just childish fairy tale imagination.
I think you're breaking up.
Sky Daddy.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Sky Daddy, imaginary, magic, anthropomorphic, immortal, imagined out of nothing by superstitious primitives who didn't understand anything about the natural world around them.
Right, that's the usual narrative, isn't it?
He so eloquently calls the Bible writers ignorant savages.
If you can show
When they were all
the
priests, historians, philosophers.
Yeah, okay. Who's got the noise in the background? Is that you, Robert? Let me see. Mute. Mute. Maybe it's you, Engine. I'm gonna try muting everybody for now. Yeah, okay. I like this article. It's on the Federalist, which is a conservative publication. Said atheists often snidely dismiss religion is nothing but a fairy tale. Allegedly, religion is a self-created mythical crutch to comfort people who are unable to face the stark realities of the universe. Blah, blah, blah. And yeah, he does talk about how they, you know, portrayed themselves as arch rationalists who embrace reality without flinching. That's pretty. I don't know. I mean, that's just a set of arrogant assumptions. So what does this article actually say, Robert? I'm not quite sure I understand. What's the meat of this article that you pointed me to? Or does everybody wind up muted just because I got muted? Come on and
unmute them.
I can't unmute anybody. You have to unmute yourself. What is interesting, I think, what I'm spotting a pattern when I look at this article is that most people who are godless,
I'm back.
They wind up inventing life stories anyway. They wind up inventing their own myths or their own stories to live by. And I've noticed that seems to be true a lot too. Has anybody noticed that?
Yeah. So if what about Aaron Ra? What does he invent? And like, really? He invents definitions. That's right. He invents definitions. He defines things as he likes them to be, and there you go. It's like that.
Yeah, I guess I agree. I think what also tends to get me about these people is that they're hyper focused on Christianity, but they don't look at the other religions. I mean, they just don't. It's like other religions don't exist. They're obsessed with one. Well, with the Abrahamic ones, I guess, is like they say it. They're obsessed with Jews, Muslims, and Christians. But it's like There's so many other religions out there, and actually, I still have this article with a few of them because I really don't think there's no truth in those other religions. And in fact, if you look at the Catechism of the Catholic Church, just for example, it clearly says there are spiritually true things and even beautiful and correct things in the other religions. It clearly states that. So I don't know where we get this notion that we're supposed to think every other religion is completely false. Although there is a strain of Christians who think, any gods in another religion have to be considered demonic. There's considerable debate on that topic, and it's another conversation. Nobody seriously thinks all the other religions are just lies and fairy tales. I think there's real stories in those religions of real spirit forces.
Yeah, my buddy Reginald, if you're watching this, Reginald, hey, he has an article on his blog which says that according to the Bible, the gods of other religions are real, like for real. Not the myths that are attributed to them, but they are real. They are real spiritual entities.
I believe I heard that the original, back in the Old Testament time, the original writers were henotheists, where they preferred one God, but they acknowledged that other gods might exist.
Monolateralists.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the word.
So, I mean, there's always been discussion about these things. So
who's with PlayStation there? I think I heard a PlayStation there.
that's mine.
Hashtag Xbox Superior.
Yeah, that's mine. Sorry.
I have an Xbox 360 because I'm poor.
Excellent way to troll people, Mr. Brass.
No, it's like I'm in my living room, and it just my family's playing the PlayStation.
Nice.
All right.
Oh,
where did you go?
Too much.
Yeah,
guys, I'm
silence here.
I am trying to read this article. It says here, prominent atheistic evolutionary biologist Jerry Coyne. Jerry Coyne is such a horrible jerk.
Jerry Coyne is an idiot, please.
Oh my God, he is.
he's also a mythicist.
Yeah, I read his article titled "It's time to think whether Jesus really existed," and I'm like, seriously? Now it's time.
Is it even competent to talk about that?
It's time to think about whether evolution really happened. Now that's no, I'm not a supporter of creationism or intelligent design, but seriously, it's like saying that.
Hey, we just lost a bunch of people. I wonder what's up with that. Well, Google Hangouts.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot of I don't know, it's kind of weird,
That's proof that things can pop in and out of existence out of nothing, and Lawrence Krauss was right. Seriously.
Oh, and I've heard people try to say, no, we create something out of nothing all the time, and it's like, well, no, I don't believe you.
No, you can create something out of nothing because both the total amount of energy and matter inside our universe cannot increase or decrease, so you can create something unless you're the singularity where laws of physics no longer apply, but we are not at the singularity.
Wait a minute, what were they saying about the singularity or a singularity?
Because at the singularity, the laws of physics break down and they no longer apply. So that includes the laws of thermodynamics, the first and second law.
Oh yeah. In fact, I caught Stephen Hawking a few times making statements that undo his own or show his own bias. The things he can't prove, I think it was in the brief history time, he talked about how we can't speak meaningfully about a time before the Big Bang.
Yeah, the imaginary time, or negative time, as it's also called.
Well, what he actually means by that is that using his math and our contemporary tools, we can't say anything about what happened before the Big Bang, but we're free to speculate and look at available evidence. And you're right, inside of a singularity, we have no way of seeing inside any singularity, the singularity that was before the Big Bang or any other that have propped up since then. The laws of physics are going to completely change on the other side of that, and we don't know what they are. We have no easy way of knowing. We can have guesses, we can form hypotheses, we can look at evidence, but we can't see what's on the inside of a singularity.
Yeah, and you know all these atheists who like hate philosophy. I mean, there are some who are really interested both in science, philosophy, and all that. But you have those who are science rules XD 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 XD. You this or that, but science rules because science uses reason. And like they despise philosophy, and they say your philosophy asks questions all the time. Well, they all say science cannot tell us this, therefore you know. It is there.
What I say is like, those.
look how rational we are for not believing in sky daddies.
Well, I mean, they always say arguments aren't evidence, but I say, unless it's the problem of evil, then that's the one argument that is definitely evidence.
I actually, the argument from evil is probably atheist's best argument. It's the one that everybody can struggle with. Everybody has to stop and look at. But
yeah, I'm really interested in the problem of evil personally, but I can stand like for real when they are constantly saying spamming the Epicurus riddle. They are constantly spamming it on YouTube comment sections and say, "There you go, your Sky Daddy is not real. Reason rules.
No
science
shit.
rules."
No shit. I don't believe in any fucking sky daddy. Do you?
well, right. I mean, no. Well, I give it. I say this. I've said this before. The fact of the matter is that most cultures, even primitive ones, have some idea of God. So I mean, you have African tribes and American native tribes all had some idea of Sky Father, some idea of of God, basically something ultimately behind all reality, ultimately behind everything.
So,
Usually expressed as male, usually understood to be beyond actual sexual identity, usually thought to be eternal, unchanging, unmoving, in charge of everything. That's a pretty universal idea among humans. It just is. And, Sky Father is one of the, I don't know, Father in the sky, whatever. I see.
Magic man in the sky.
Yeah, this is why I actually don't like them being condescending to that, because I do think there's spiritual truth and beauty in some of these ancient, tribal.
Well,
religions.
the highest ideal they could comprehend was the sky, the above.
Well, and that's pretty normal in humans too. You usually think of upwards in the sky as spiritually higher and down as bad or negative.
Yeah, I remember
And again, it's
the
pretty
other day.
normal in humans.
Like the first guy that went to space, that Russian said the Earth was blue, but there was no God.
They said,
that was actually
I see no God up here.
that was actually attributed to him by Nikita Khrushchev. What's funny is that Yuri Gagarin was actually a secret believer of the Russian Orthodox Church, but Nikita Khrushchev he attributed that quote to him, even though he never said it.
Oh yeah, he
remember-
definitely said that. He definitely said the Earth was blue.
I remember the other day that I watched a video. It was a video back from 2012 from, now he's an agnostic, but back then he was an atheist, a Hispanic YouTuber known as Ross Roadsank. He said that the Higgs boson proved God does not exist and said, "No, let's see how these Russian astronauts who went to space and said, I see no God up here." Then religious people said that God did not create this planet, and then they said, God created the universe, and no one will ever prove us wrong. Well, hey, we discovered the Higgs boson. They're wrong. God does not exist. Like, for real.
The Higgs boson is interesting to me because they called it the God particle, And then it was pretty obvious that
It was the goddamn particle, really, but because it was not really well seen, they changed the name to the God particle.
here's the thing. It's been slowly obscured over decades, right? But they had the standard model in physics. And they had, a hole in the standard model that they thought what was called the God particle may or may not exist, but if it did, it would complete the standard model. Okay, it was called the standard God. It was called the God particle. I mean, this
It was named after the guy, Higgs boson. It was named after him. He was an atheist.
two guys.
Can I, if I can admit something, originally when I actually didn't know what the Higgs boson was for a while. I actually, when I first heard it, I just assumed it was an animal or something, because I thought that someone told me about a Higgs bison.
Okay, so let me continue explaining, please.
All right, sure.
The Higgs boson was, when they started looking at it, they called it the God particle, or somebody called it the God particle, because if it existed, it would complete the standard model. It would, if it were the right mass and the right, properties, it would complete the standard particle, and it would mean we could explain everything physical that we see within the universe from now on. That we would not need anything from an outside source. Basically, if the Higgs boson had gone a certain way, it would prove that there's no need for alternate universes, and that would bring the God question into focus. Whereas if the Higgs boson was another way, there might be evidence for other universes. Here's the thing: whether all finding the God particle would do is bring the God question snapped back into focus. That's what it would have done. And guess what? They wound up with an ambiguous result. So it was called the God particle because if it had completed the standard model perfectly, it would have left us with nothing left but the God question. Is something making it go ultimately? Whereas if they could prove there's other universes, then they could kick the God question further down the road. But actually, either answer will still leave you wondering if there's a God. So it's kind of a dumb debate at this point. Finding the God particle or not finding it doesn't prove anything. Did that make sense?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, one guy in the comments asks, "What are your thoughts on Dillahunty and the atheist experience?"
You want
Mean
my?
overweight Stone Cold?
That's insulting. That's insulting to Stone Cold, man.
But the new atheism movement is like full of overweight versions of WWE wrestlers.
What I think about Dillahunty, I think I almost I never wind up talking to him. I think that Dillahunty and the atheist experience and all those people are your proof positive that atheism has been a cult movement for decades. These people are so. I mean, it's funny.
Atheist,
huh?
It's the atheist version of the Joel Osteen show, basically.
Yeah, kind of.
Like a feel good atheist show.
They just show over and over again that atheism is a hate movement. Because I'm going to repeat it, it's a hate movement. At least when it's coming out of those people, they peddle phony science, they peddle phony history. They get up there and they get some idiot Christians sometimes who'll get next to them and smile at them and try to be friends. But then as soon as the encounter is over, the atheists are there bad-mouthing them again.
Like 98% of the time it's idiot Christians and them just making fun of Christianity in general based on them.
Well, there's a whole lot of that.
Videos on YouTube are basically, you're a moron. I have to go.
Basically all the comments are, look how rational we are and how stupid they are.
Yeah, if you checked out that video I sent you where Dillahunty supposedly destroys Christianity, there's a comment that says, most people agree, look at the like-dislike bar. Now, isn't it time to move onwards and leave superstitions behind? Are you fucking serious?
Based on likes.
I actually remember what's funny. I remember when Johann Rotz actually called them, and he completely embarrassed them.
But people still think Dillahunty destroyed. I mean,
Oh yeah, his
video-
one of his little dizzy little co-hosts was like, "I'm bored." I'm like, "Of
Yeah.
course you are."
I found a video, a Spanish subtitle video of one of Johannan's calls, and do you know how it was titled? Atheist refutes a conspiracy theorist. Like, for real.
Conspiracy theorists. What now?
Yeah,
Okay.
because Dillahunty supposedly destroyed Johannan, but we all know it was the other way around.
I see. Here's the thing. Once you
They just go along with him no matter who wins the debate.
well, there's
Like
the
when-
thing too, right? Like every time, I mean, like Engine, I know once in a while you know you'll be like, oh, they're tearing you up in the comments, and I'm like, dude, they tear up everybody in the comments, and they don't even always necessarily make sense when they're doing it. It's fun. I mean, Dillahunty, he makes his living doing this. Okay, if he stops being an atheist, what does he do with his life? If he stops being a professional atheist, what does he do with his life?
Not much.
Become a professional wrestler.
And I don't know how old.
Sumo.
Probably too old for that.
No.
You know, what is there for a
Ryu
living?
Tensai, you know, because he actually looks quite a lot like Tensai. He looks quite a lot like him, like for real.
Yeah.
I mean, like, do the comparison.
Oh, we seem to have lost Derek. That's too bad. We're attacking some of his friends, so. but
All they do is debate the simpler Christians and say they debunk all of Christianity.
I know. They do it all the time. And see, I mean, literally, I'm going to say it. People think I'm kidding, but when I say that there's a hate movement here, I kind of mean it, because these people put out stuff that is easily debunked. They get debunked, and then they go and they put it out again, and they make
You know, like Emperor.
like
I remember, like, you know, I'm actually working on a video where I'm doing a debunking of Essence of Thoughts refuting William Lane Craig. And here's the thing, he brings up these objections to the Kalam cosmological argument, and they're the exact damn same objections that William Lane Craig debunked 6 years before the video. So he has no excuse for not knowing them.
If you have read the Iron Chariots wiki on the Kalam cosmological argument, they quote Dan Barker a lot, and
Isn't that-
Richard Dawkins a
isn't-
lot.
Isn't that Dillahunty's site?
Yes, and they said, look, special pleading begs the question, you know, the whole other bullshit.
It can't be begging the question. It's a deductive argument. It's supposed to be that phrase that way. That's freaking philosophy 101.
That looks
You
like
know,
the Hunty missed philosophy 101.
It's not special pleading because the first premise, you know, leaves open the possibility of a universe without a cause.
But
So, you
according
know,
to Dan Barker, aka the king of ex-pastors himself, there are two sets of things. The ones that begin to exist and those that do not begin to exist. That's implied in the first premise of the Kalam.
Oh yeah, the Barker
if
was
God-
already a drooling idiot when he was a fundamentalist.
Yeah, and and if God is the only object in the set of things that do not begin to exist, then the argument can be simply rephrased as everything except God has a cause.
I mean, that's stupid because abstract objects can also fit into that category, and it leaves open the possibility that universes can be that way too.
You have an abstract object, you have numbers, you have the laws of mathematics, the laws of logic, you have like plenty of other bullshit there, but they or they don't know it, or they leave it out. They are hiding information, as Richard Carrier would say, and you know, tips Fedora and
The Ken Ham of atheism.
Yeah, I see that Judici Protector says the same thing I do. All they do is debate the simpler Christians, then they say they debunked all of Christianity.
I just repeated that.
Yes. Yeah, and that's the pattern over and over and over and over and over again. Um,
I mean, that would be like if I only because essence of thought, or like we call him over here, essence of sophistry. I mean, debunking him is like the easiest thing I can do because all I have to really do is play William Lane Craig's debunkings of those objections over the objections.
Oh
So
yeah,
I
he
mean,
tried going
has
after,
no excuse.
inspiring philosophy.
Yeah.
Oh,
Also, the same applies to rationality rules, aka rationalizing atheism.
he's a. I
Yeah, I
mean,
saw that.
here's what's funny. Do you remember? Like, I always joke about this. Essence of Thoughts kind of looks like his younger brother.
Like for
And,
real.
Rationality Rules already kind of looks like a mix between a surfer and Shaggy from Scooby Doo.
It looks like Aaron Ross' bastard child.
He looks like a hippie.
And Aaron Ross already looks like a combination of Rubus Haggard from Harry Potter and Danny Trejo.
Yeah,
You
like
look
the
Undertaker.
crossover between the '90s Undertaker, Genghis Khan, and a semi-retired death metal guitar metalhead.
And a 70s porn star.
we're being juvenile here.
we're just here to talk, but still, I mean, look, these guys have constructed an entire industry in an entire identitarian movement, and they've been doing it professionally for years and years, and so at some point you got to realize, I mean, there's probably nothing we've ever brought up about them that they haven't heard before. I just, it seems like such a sad thing to, put your existence around. The idea is that you will not allow yourself to entertain, crushing and mocking other people for what they believe. That's the core of what it's all about.
Yeah, like they travel
He's a
around
feminist, remember?
these certain ones travel around the country to tell people that there is no God that loves them, that their lives are meaningless. Like, how much of a miserable sod do you have to be to do that?
I have a friend of mine, he's a
can do it.
general creationist, but I think I shared a post of his with you guys. And it said it was a picture of Aaron Ra at the Ark Encounter with a whole picture with Noah's Ark says, "This fable won't float. We know this is not real. This never happened." And said claims that atheism is simply a lack of belief. But he travels like 1,000 miles just to show that lack of belief to everyone. Like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah, you know what we got to do?
It's
Maybe
only
we
a
could do
lack
this
of belief.
tomorrow. Maybe we could do this tomorrow. I want to do a hate on creationists versus atheists. I want to actually do that. Maybe tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Why
Can we hate on
creationists-
Ken Hovind?
Yeah,
we
let's
can
bring
hate
in
on
Hovind to debate.
Yeah, we can hate on Ken Hovind and Ken Ham and
Ken Ham?
Dean, you know Emperor Atheist called you a Catholic Ken Hovind and Ken Ham.
yeah, whatever. He's
That's
an
funny coming from a conspiracy loon like him.
No lie.
Conspiracy theories.
No
Yeah,
lie.
didn't someone mention?
The
Someone mentioned
Boston
that he.
bombings and the anti-Trump rallies happened, you idiot.
He's
Yeah,
like
someone
a
said
theoretical conspiracy.
Yeah, someone mentioned that that he Boston bombings didn't occur.
He's a damn loon.
Yeah, yeah. All of these guys are like this, man. I mean,
And according to him, we're your cronies.
they're my cronies, whatever, man. I mean,
I'm waiting for my paycheck, Dean.
well,
Yeah.
here's the thing. Like he doesn't have cronies.
Like
he's
he's Aaron Ross' crony.
He's Aaron Ross
Really,
crony, Green Crocodile's crony.
he's hanging out with that little slime
Well,
ball
they have the
Tyler
pocket
Preston.
army.
Yeah, he's hanging out with slime ball like Tyler Preston. Real nasty bit of business work guy, that Tyler Preston. And it's all these people, it's like they complain about ad hom, but they go after people all the time. If I were alone, and if I were alone on these videos, I'd be an obsessive loon who nobody pays attention to. If I bring people on with me, I'm bringing on cronies. It's like, come on, just admit, just refocus on the issues, guys. I mean, really. Huh?
Oh yeah, one guy asked, if you had to watch 10 videos of one of these, which one would it be? Autism is Unstoppable or TJ, the Amazing Banana Rapist?
I actually hate making fun of TJ just for the banana thing, but I think I would rather watch 10. Well, God, Lord, Atheism is Unstoppable versus TJ. That is so hard. I
Atheism
guess
is
I would have
totally
to go with
watchable.
Atheism
I would go after
Unstoppable. Huh?
I would go after TJ Kirk because atheism is unstoppable will dox you.
Well, that's okay. TJ threatened to break my jaw. I don't really particularly think
Really?
Autism is Unstoppable is unintentionally funny.
Well,
Who
there's
would,
yeah.
I have a harder dilemma. Who would you rather watch? Read. Aaron Ross Patheos blog or Barry Jones Church is Wrong.
I don't know the other guy.
He's a stalker. He's dangerous, so we shouldn't speak shit about him because he is the guy who sued James Patrick Holding like twice, and he's planning to sue him.
Oh, I know who you're
Oh
talking
yeah,
about.
I heard this from the Deflating Atheism guy. Does a Cartesian theist ring any bells?
Kinda. This
Yeah.
guy Barry.
I heard about it.
It did a few blogs, and I think he had a YouTube channel that Dark Moron blackmailed him into getting off. He's like, I'm giving you an ultimatum. Either take this channel down or I'm going to dox you.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna say this is true if it's a fact or not. Like I heard this from the Deflating Atheism guy, so like I wouldn't be surprised if that's true. But
This guy Barry Jones, he's crazy, and he's the.
He only has a high school diploma.
wow,
He's a no-
that's quite an achievement.
Well, that's
He was a
one thing that
truck
TJ doesn't have.
Wow, I got my diploma over a decade ago. Give me a medal.
These guys have been doing this for how many years? I've often thought there's ways they could get out of the atheist gig, but I don't know for some of these hardcore ones. I think the younger ones can, but I mean, atheism is not going to be a growth industry in the next few years. I'm sorry, but it's just not. And so it's like, how do you stay relevant? I would so urge these guys, get into pantheism, get into something. This atheism thing, it's like once you've decided there's no God and there's nothing left but to bond on your shared hatred of religious people.
Get into Scientology.
The only thing left is going into comment sections, circle jerk each other as much as you can, then go make yourself a blog, say, look at how rational I am for not believing in your magical sky imaginary friend who grants you wishes for behaving in a good way, and that's all. And then writing your own Pondy Atheist biography saying, just have faith because I am rational, so it's true, just have faith.
Remember, I remember in the Facebook group I brought up, about, actually on my Facebook I had brought up about the whole debate between Holy Kool-Aid and, I can't remember his name. It was a Christian. And basically, like, I hated how the fact that they didn't really, go after, Holy Kool-Aid he basically gish galloped and brought up the Old Testament a lot and expecting him to go over the entire thing. And he brought up the case of the Midianites and stuff, and I said, like, of course he's going to go after someone that doesn't really know about that. I said, try going after me. I will frickin' bury your ass on the Old Testament.
I mean, again, the fact that they can actually just even go around thinking they have a right to put other people on trial for what other people believe.
Yeah, there's them, the Amalekites, and all that.
They're never on trial for their beliefs. It's very
but anti-theist hermeneutics, biblical hermeneutics, is basically like this.
It's okay when they gish. It's okay when they gish gallop, but not us.
Yeah, but you know how it works.
And I remember, I found it so freaking hilarious that Holy Kool-Aid tried to shift the burden of proof onto the guy where, trying to say like that anti-theism is the default position. I say, no, you guys are in fact the minority position and you're trying to bring an alternative. The burden of proof is on you.
anti-theists are to atheists what fundamentalists holier than thou loons are to Christianity.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I've run into Christians who make me insane. I've even one or two I've had to block because they were so harassing and so annoying, and but I just always just push such people away. I always, even when I was an atheist, I knew such Christians were a minority and were obnoxious and harmful. So I never held such people against Christians generally, right? And that's the thing that bothers me too. I was just recently having another one of these pointless arguments with a young man who didn't care anything I had to say. Talking about how all religions are false and every culture develops these delusional ideas, and I'm like, so you're saying everybody's delusional but you? There's no truth in Hinduism. There's no truth in authentic spiritual Buddhism. There's no truth at all in animist religions. I don't think that. Why do you think it?
And then they say
And everybody had it wrong until the atheists came along.
and
Yeah.
then they say we are the arrogant ones, like for real.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't say that stuff at all. I think there's valid spiritual stuff going on in every major religion and many minor ones.
Well, don't you love when certain atheists?
Huh?
Don't you love when certain atheists say what they think they'll say if they if there is a God after all and they stood before God? Like I'll tell them off and this and that. Like, no, you won't, bitch. You'll be screaming like a little girl.
No, they are like, if there is a God, then he will have to pray for my forgiveness.
Like you be scared out your ass. Let's be realistic here.
And here's what's funny about that. I understand that part, and I mean, you run like a little bitch if like a 6 foot tall guy goes up to you. The worst that the 6 foot tall buff guy can do is beat the shit out of you. But God can infinitely hurt you in many more ways. So, and you're telling me that you're going to be the macho man and step up to him?
No, you won't.
Be real.
Yeah, but everyone can be macho man behind a computer screen.
Oh yeah, just playing that internet tough guy.
Yeah, and wearing the fedora.
So who's in for a hate on creationists versus atheists tomorrow? Let's hate on both of them tomorrow. Who wants to do that
Yes.
with?
If
Oh,
I
I'll
can,
perfectly
then
fine.
I'm available.
I would be just as harsh on the young earthers, but you already got people doing that.
You have Aaron Ra with
Can we get some of that money? There's a big market for bashing them. So I mean, can we get some money out of that? I'm more than
They do. And they do harm to Christianity as much as any anti-theist propagandist.
Yeah, and by the way, I have an idea. One of these days, we could invite one of these there is no evidence for God type of atheists and make them face James Redford from the Theophysics website. It would be really interesting.
I would think it'd be just good to get Johann Rotz versus one of them. I think that would work just as well.
Yeah, and if I had to do like a team debate, like true Christians versus true atheists, I would choose Johann Rotz and James Redford to go like against like Aaron Ra and anyone, basically anyone else. Like you know this guy David McAfee. Well, against Aaron Ra and David McAfee, that would be like awesome.
Well, let's see if we can do something tomorrow. I think something will be good from this tomorrow because I'm so sick of creationists versus atheists. It makes me sick. In fact, sometimes I think it's done on purpose by, the atheist movement. So they can create a false dichotomy. I really do think that. So it's worth talking about. Tell you what, we might as well just close up. We've been going about an hour. Anybody want to throw in anything before we close this out for tonight?
Oh yeah. Remember to do the fourth part of Dartmoor on Tuesday.
Well, we might have something else going on Tuesday. How about Thursday? Do you want to do Dark Matter on Thursday?
Yeah.
We're going to have alternative info coming in. The UFO guy, once again, we had to boot him, but we're doing UFO guy on Tuesday. And tomorrow we're going to do a creationist versus atheists. Wednesday we're going to have Gone Right. Thursday we're going to do Dark Matter 2525, the last installment of that, I hope.
Maybe.
Where are we
Yeah.
going?
It depends if you bring Tiger or not.
And you know, just to get my last statement out there, I say I'm not a young Earth creationist and I'm not an old Earth creationist. I'm a middle Earth creationist. The Earth isn't too young or old; it's just right.
You're not even a Christian. Bloody deist. You're just a bloody deist. All right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
There, I think I can summarize the atheist position by quoting Victor Stenger from his debate with Hugh Ross back in 2008. Let me say, we are all a big chunk of nothing.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, all right. All righty. Well, all right, everybody. Give us a like. Give us a subscribe. We got stuff going on every night this week. So please do tune in every night. God bless.